Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A block in the approximate shape of a cube. Cut into cubes. Cube the cheese. A three-dimensional shape with 6 square or rectangular sides. The product of 3 equal terms. A hexahedron with 6 equal squares as faces. Any of several tropical American woody plants of the genus Loncocarpus whose roots are used locally as a fish poison and commercially as a source of rotenone. Raised to the third power. A block in the approximate shape of a cube. Cut into cubes. A small cube with 1 to 6 spots on the 6 faces, used in gambling to generate random numbers. Play dice. An obstruction in a pipe or tube. We had to call a plumber to clear out the blockage in the drainpipe. The act of obstructing or deflecting someone's movements. A platform from which an auctioneer sells. They put their paintings on the block. A three-dimensional shape with 6 square or rectangular sides. Prohibit the conversion or use of assets. An inability to remember or think of something you normally can do, often caused by emotional tension. I knew his name perfectly well, but I had a temporary block. Stop from happening or developing. Be unable to remember. You are blocking the name of your first wife. Block passage through. A simple machine consisting of a wheel with a groove in which a rope can run to change the direction or point of application of a force applied to the rope. Render unsuitable for passage. Block the way. Shut out from view or get in the way so as to hide from sight. The thick curtain blocked the action on the stage. Interfere with or prevent the reception of signals. Block the signals emitted by this station. Obstruct. Her arteries are blocked. A metal casting containing the cylinders and cooling ducts of an engine. The engine had to be replaced because the block was cracked. A rectangular area in a city surrounded by streets and usually containing several buildings. He lives in the next block. Impede the movement of an opponent or a ball. Block an attack. Hinder or prevent the progress or accomplishment of. His brother blocked him at every turn. A number or quantity of related things dealt with as a unit. He reserved a large block of seats. A solid piece of something, usually having flat rectangular sides. The pyramids were built with large stone blocks. Computer science, a sector or group of sectors that function as the smallest data unit permitted. Since blocks are often defined as a single sector, the terms block and sector are sometimes used interchangeably. Housing in a large building that is divided into separate units. There is a block of classrooms in the West Wing. Interrupt the normal function of by means of anesthesia. Block a nerve. Run on a block system. Block trains. Shape by using a block. Block a garment. Shape into a block or blocks. Block the graphs so one can see the results clearly. Stamp or emboss a title or design on a book with a block. Block the book cover. Support, secure, or raise with a block. Block a plate for printing. The product of three equal terms. A hexahedron with 6 equal squares as faces. The omission that is made when an editorial change shortens a written passage. Weed out unwanted or unnecessary things. We had to lose weight, so we cut the sugar from our diet. Cut down on. Make a reduction in. The employer wants to cut back health benefits. The act of penetrating or opening open with a sharp edge. His cut in the lining revealed the hidden jewels. Made neat and tidy by trimming. In baseball, a batter's attempt to hit a pitched ball. He took a vicious cut at the ball. Used of rates or prices, reduced usually sharply. Lessen the strength or flavor of a solution or mixture. Cut bourbon. Cut and assemble the components of. Cut recording tape. Used of grass or vegetation, cut down with a hand implement or machine. Reduce in scope while retaining essential elements. The act of cutting something into parts. His cuts were skillful. Refuse to acknowledge. She cut him dead at the meeting. Turn sharply. Change direction abruptly. The car cut to the left at the intersection. Be able to manage or manage successfully. She could not cut the long days in the office. Mixed with water. Sold cut whiskey. A refusal to recognize someone you know. The act of shortening something by chopping off the ends. The barber gave him a good cut. Sports. A stroke that puts reverse spin on the ball. Cuts do not bother a good tennis player. Style and tailor in a certain fashion. Cut a dress. With parts removed. The drastically cut film. A wound made by cutting. He put a bandage over the cut. Create by duplicating data. Cut a disk. Cease, stop. Cut the noise. Cut off the testicles, of male animals such as horses. A piece of meat that has been cut from an animal carcass. Make out an issue. Cut a ticket. A trench resembling a furrow that was made by erosion or excavation. A remark capable of wounding mentally. The unkindest cut of all. Intentionally fail to attend. Cut class. A distinct selection of music from a recording or a compact disc. He played the first cut on the CD. The division of a deck of cards before dealing. He insisted that we give him the last cut before every deal. Of a male animal, having the testicles removed. A cut horse. Cuss to stop operating by disengaging a switch. Cut the engine. A canal made by erosion or excavation. Allow incision or separation. This bread cuts easily. An unexcused absence from class. He was punished for taking too many cuts in his math class. A share of the profits. Everyone got a cut of the earnings. A step on some scale. He is a cut above the rest. Discharge from a group. The coach cut 2 players from the team. Dissolve by breaking down the fat of. Soap cuts grease. Divide a deck of cards at random into 2 parts to make selection difficult. Wane cut. Fashioned or shaped by cutting. A well-cut suit. Fell by sawing, hew. The Vietnamese cut a lot of timber while they occupied Cambodia. Film. An immediate transition from one shot to the next. The cut from the accident scene to the hospital seemed too abrupt. Form by probing, penetrating, or digging. Cut a hole. Form or shape by cutting or incising. Cut paper dolls. Function as a cutting instrument. This knife cuts well. Give the appearance or impression of. Cut a nice figure. Grow through the gums. The new tooth is cutting. Have a reducing effect. This cuts into my earnings. Have grow through the gums. The baby cut a tooth. Hit a ball with a spin so that it turns in the opposite direction. Cut a ping pong ball. Make an abrupt change of image or sound. Cut from one scene to another. Make an incision or separation. Cut along the dotted line. Make a recording of. Cut the songs. Move one's fist. His opponent cut upward toward his chin. Pass directly and often in haste. We cut through the neighbor's yard to get home sooner. Pass through or across. The boat cut the water. Penetrate injuriously. The glass from the shattered windshield cut into her forehead. Perform or carry out. Cut a caper. Reap or harvest. Cut grain. Record a performance on a medium. Cut a record. Separated into parts or laid open or penetrated with a sharp edge or instrument. The cut surface was modeled. Separate with or as if with an instrument. Shorten as if by severing the edges or ends of. Cut my hair. Stop filming. Cut a movie scene. The act of reducing the amount or number. The mayor proposed extensive cuts in the city budget. The style in which a garment is cut. A dress of traditional cut. Of pages of a book, having the folds of the leaves trimmed or slit. The cut pages of the book. The state in which a substance has no tendency to flow under moderate stress, resists forces, such as compression, that tend to deform it, and retains a definite size and shape. Providing abundant nourishment. Good solid food. Of good quality and condition, solidly built. A solid foundation. Acting together as a single undiversified whole. A solid voting block. Of the same color throughout. Solid color. Meriting respect or esteem. Not soft or yielding to pressure. Solid ground. A three-dimensional shape. Characterized by good substantial quality. Solid comfort. Entirely of one substance with no holes inside. A solid block of wood. Financially sound. The bank is solid and will survive this attack. Having 3 dimensions. A cube is a solid figure with 6 sides. Impenetrable for the eye. Solid blackness. Matter that is solid at room temperature and pressure. Of a substantial character and not frivolous or superficial. Work of solid scholarship. Of definite shape and volume. Firm, neither liquid nor gaseous. Ice is water in the solid state. Of one substance or character throughout. Solid gold. Uninterrupted in space, having no gaps or breaks. A solid line across the page. Put into a group. Determine the number or amount of. One of a series published periodically. The property possessed by a sum or total or indefinite quantity of units or individuals. The number of parameters is small. The number is used in calling a particular telephone. He has an unlisted number. Add up in number or quantity. A short performance that is part of a longer program. It was one of the best numbers he ever did. A symbol used to represent a number. Place a limit on the number of. Enumerate. We must number the names of the great mathematicians. A clothing measurement. A number 13 shoe. A concept of quantity involving zero and units. Every number has a unique position in the sequence. An item of clothing. She preferred the black nylon number. A numbered item in a series. Take the number 2 to the main square, then change to the number 5. A numeral or string of numerals that is used for identification and may be attached to accounts, memberships, etc. She refused to give them her social security number. A select company of people. I hope to become one of their number before I die. Give numbers to. You should number the pages of the thesis. The grammatical category for the forms of nouns and pronouns and verbs that are used depending on the number of entities involved, singular or dual or plural. In English, the subject and the verb must agree in number. Any one of 5 solids whose faces are congruent regular polygons and whose polyhedral angles are all congruent. Any one of 5 solids whose faces are congruent regular polygons and whose polyhedral angles are all congruent. Any one of 5 solids whose faces are congruent regular polygons and whose polyhedral angles are all congruent. Any one of 5 solids whose faces are congruent regular polygons and whose polyhedral angles are all congruent. Any one of 5 solids whose faces are congruent regular polygons and whose polyhedral angles are all congruent. Any one of 5 solids whose faces are congruent regular polygons and whose polyhedral angles are all congruent. Low-growing woody shrub or perennial with woody base. Low-growing woody shrub or perennial with woody base. Have young, animals, or reproduce, organisms. Combine or increase by multiplication. He managed to multiply his profits. Have offspring or produce more individuals of a given animal or plant. Combine by multiplication. Multiply 10 by 15. In several ways, in a multiple manner. They were multiply checked for errors. A small cube of artificial ice, used for cooling drinks. Cut or shape with a die. Pass from physical life and lose all bodily attributes and functions necessary to sustain life. She died from cancer. Lose sparkle or bouquet. Stop operating or functioning. The car died on the road. A small cube with 1 to 6 spots on the 6 faces, used in gambling to generate random numbers. A cutting tool that is fitted into a D-stock and used for cutting male, external, screw threads on screws or bolts or pipes or rods. A device used for shaping metal. Be brought to or as if to the point of death by an intense emotion such as embarrassment, amusement, or shame. We almost died laughing during the show. Disappear or come to an end. Their anger died. Feel indifferent towards. She died to worldly things and eventually entered a monastery. Languish as with love or desire. Suffer or face the pain of death. Martyrs may die every day for their faith. Suffer spiritual death. Be damned, in the religious sense. Whosoever believes in me shall never die. To be on base at the end of an inning, of a player. An idle, worthless person. Deprive of by deceit. Avoid one's assigned duties. A brick-shaped block that looks like gold but is not. Anything that is supposed to be valuable but turns out to be worthless. A soldier who performs his duties without proper care or effort. The four-dimensional analog of a cube. A cube-like object. A square-shaped object. Having 4 sides and 4 angles. Genus of chiefly tropical American shrubs and trees having pinnate leaves and red or white flowers. Genus of chiefly tropical American shrubs and trees having pinnate leaves and red or white flowers. Relating to or involving arithmetic. Arithmetical computations. The branch of pure mathematics dealing with the theory of numerical calculations.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.